Hey, Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I first ditched big wireless and started using Mint Mobile way back in 20.
Marfugel TV going live in 3, 2, 1. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam A.K. Marf, and this is Marfugel TV. So, yet again, we have a country that essentially arrests its opponent. As far as the government leaders of Turkey, Erdogan, we've talked about many times, Turkey is now heavily involved in Syria and other events, heavily has been involved in NATO and some of the controversy around it, again, is now having all sorts of chaos go down. And I'm sure that there is a dot to connect here. I'm just not smart enough to make it. Because Turkey is a part of this world event that is happening right now as far as Turkey's issues with NATO, how it's been connected with all of the stuff going on with Russia. And then, of course, kind of what most people's guts say that was a response to Russia, which is when Syria and Bashar al-Assad were taken out by a group of revolutionaries, right, that all teamed up, that for some reason all got weaponry and money from all sorts of, NATO sources and outside NATO sources like Ukraine. And then all of a sudden in 11 days, we're able to topple Syria. But this is a great piece, and they said you can take the banana out of the republic, but you can never take the banana republic out of Turkey. One day after we pointed out that Erdogan was resorting to ruthless authoritarian practices traditionally reserved for such EU nations as Romania, in which Turkish dictator was preparing to block its top political challenger from competing against him. No surprise there. Erdogan has done just that. And early Wednesday morning, Erdogan stunned markets when he arrested the popular mayor of Istanbul, Ekrem İmamoğlu, 54, who is also the top contender for the presidency. Oh, Venezuela. Man, this is just another arresting of a top opponent. You see it, Russia, Venezuela, Turkey. It's insane how many of these happen almost a yearly basis. First Romania, now Turkey, Zero Hedge says. Turkey voids Erdogan rival's degree, risking presidency bid. So again, just before that, essentially voiding the opponent's degree, therefore taking him out of the race. Like, that is so obvious. It's insane that world governments can do this kind of stuff without pushback. I mean, the people of Turkey must know that they have a scandalous leader on top of them. I've always thought Erdogan has been scandalous because we have covered so many weird things. His pushback on Sweden and of course, the two countries that were trying to join NATO, obviously something has been going on with him for a while. But then you think, man, they just possibly worked with Israel and the U.S. So, yeah, lots of weirdness going on. But we'll talk about it and much more. There's some kind of creepy stuff on this today's show. So again, if you don't like scary movies, don't watch scary movies. If you don't like scary news, turn off the scary news. We'll see you in just a minute. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfugelnews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. And let's not forget, this recent event with Turkey actually involves the central bank. So again, the detention of Imamoglu came a day after Turkish authorities revoked his university diploma in a move that could bar him from challenging Erdogan in the next presidential election. He beat Erdogan's hand-picked candidate in last year's Istanbul mayoral race and was set on Sunday to be named as the presidential candidate for the Republican People's Party, the main opposition group known as CHP. Again, as this went down, of course, they said that all of this caused all sorts of ruckus. Turkish assets posted the biggest losses worldwide. The lira dropped like a rock, weakened as much as 11% to trade past 40 mark against the U.S. dollar before trimming losses 5.55% per dollar. As of 12:45 p.m., an Istanbul local central bank spent, get this, billions of dollars to halt the plunge. The intervention in the lira market was carried out through multiple lenders. People familiar with the matter said, asking not to be identified given the sensitivity of the matter. The central bank wasn't immediately available for comment. By the way, for the 7-8 years I've been doing this, I don't think I've ever seen the central bank available for comment, but just saying. As far as this goes, what can this actually cause for Turkey? And what does this have a bigger picture? Does this have a bigger picture here? I guarantee it. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing today?
Sticker Mule makes it easy to buy custom roll labels in any shape and quantity. It only takes a few seconds.
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Fugle fam. I'm doing just fine.
Now, remember, you have all of the sources and all of the tweets. Every single article, tweet, video, picture, document for today's show is available over at marfugelnews.com. You can actually find that right over at our website. Just look for today's thumbnail. While you're over there, make sure to go check out the show we just did a second ago, The Ultimate Whodunit, talking about the JFK releases. Also, while you're there, there is an anonymous tip line called Marfia or MFN tips line. So again, this is so you can actually put in anonymous tips. And again, all you need is a name or a screen name that you want us to post on it and your hot tip. So make sure to add that. Again, if you want to include your email, we can follow up with you. All right. And then, so as far as this goes, Dex, it sounds like if they didn't intervene, this would have been hell on earth in Turkey.
Well, Erdogan has, I don't know how strong of a candidate the opposition is there, but it certainly seems to be the standard MO now in the political spectrum is for the entrenched particularly on one particular side, the non-conservative side, to do everything as possible to prevent their opposition from even being able to run. So yeah, very much a big deal when you think about it. Erdogan has been very outspoken against Israel. Erdogan has been fence-sitting between Russia and his NATO allies. So it's would this new leader change that? And obviously he's not going to have a chance to run at all, being that he's Erdogan locked him up.
Yeah, so if you don't like the other candidate, you just arrest him. The other candidate in Venezuela, very similar thing, where the woman that was going against him ended up apparently, winning, according to many people that live there. But then the people that were closest to him, they said, "Oh, well, we'll look at it," and they of course did a recount of all of this stuff and said, "No, he won." But for some reason, they needed to arrest and detain the candidate going up against that apparently lost, right? I mean, it's just insane. She was in hiding for months, came out the first day that she came out. She was arrested. All things random. Hey, thank you for the early support. I appreciate that. Rochelle Cooley, thank you as well for your support this week. Sue Ellen, thank you for being a member for 5 months. And then, of course, Franklin MC and Salen, thank you so much for subscribing a few minutes ago. Thank you. So yeah, lots of weirdness going on with Turkey. I bet you in the next month we're going to see a whole lot more from Turkey. And it has a bigger connection in all of this because they also have a bigger connection with Israel. They have a bigger connection with Russia. They have a connection with, of course, NATO. They are a part of all of it. And they are most likely a huge part of the whole Syria takeover, or they are trying to be. And then Trump threatens Houthis with complete annihilation as U.S. is in continuous bombing. So if all of you have been watching over the last week, we've all been looking at this going like, what the hell is about to happen here? So first of all, Trump put out that the Houthis, any of the Houthis' actions are going to essentially reflect directly on Iran. In fact, he says that if the Houthis continue their attacks, that Iran is directly responsible, that Iran is actually equipping them with the highly advanced military equipment that they're attacking all the ships with. These attacks have actually rerouted ships all the way around, costing billions and billions of dollars around entire land masses. So when I looked at this first, I'm like, oh my gosh, are they really looking at this too and going, hey, we could save billions of dollars if we do this, this, and this. It is crazy to see all of the stuff that's been going on with Doge and all the things with this. But now, I mean, this is to the point where we're almost talking war with Iran, which we, of course, the president says, you know, hey, we don't want to be involved in this whole Ukraine thing. We don't want to be footing the bill for NATO, all of this, which I completely understand as far as all the other countries that aren't footing their bill and paying their full percent. But as far as then to say, well, we aren't going to send stuff here, but then also we support this other conflict. Most people are backing that because, honestly, most people are actually siding with the president on Israel. But Israel and Iran, that war, that very well could start the end. I mean, like, you have a war with Israel and Iran, and if Iran does get nukes or wipe somebody out, now Iran has treaties like Russia. They have signed a treaty militarily to back each other up. So this is something that I'm sure is not approached lightly. This is something where his words like complete annihilation, these are pretty serious. President Trump is freshly warning that the Houthis of Yemen will completely be annihilated if they don't immediately halt their drone and missile attacks in the Red Sea. Wednesday warning came just as U.S. Central Command has confirmed it engaged in continuous operations against Iran-backed Houthi terrorists. Reports are still coming in that Iran has lessened its intensity of military equipment and general support to the Houthis. They are still sending large levels of supplies. Trump's statement began in a bit of surprise admission of lessened Iranian support to the Houthis. It says Iran must stop the sending of these supplies immediately. Let the Houthis fight it out themselves. Either way, they lose. But this way, they lose quickly. Tremendous damage has been inflicted upon the Houthi barbarians, and watch how it will get progressively worse. It's not even a fair fight, and it will never be. They will be completely annihilated. Again, that is, CENTCOM, of course, posted, U.S. Central Command posted actual videos of some of the operations that are going on. It's getting spicy. Dex, as far as this goes, you know, you have the Houthis in the middle of this kind of huge ordeal, and I'm sure they're not just striking to strike. Like, somebody's footing the bill.
Experience your new PC by Digital Storm. A faster workflow, allowing you to do more in less time. Pro performance.
Go ahead. Oh, you cut out. Dex, are you there? Funny, this happened between shows. Dex, do we still have you?
Be a problem.
No. Are you kidding? All of that cut out. Like 20 seconds of it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, internet's a little bad today, I guess.
So it's just start over. So as far as
I'm just saying, like, they've been attacking them, attacking our ships, our warships, specifically our carrier there, and they continue to do it. They're not even backing down. And you know that while we laugh sort of under our breath because they have such a bad aim, so to speak, and barely reach it and haven't done much, but eventually something might get through, and that'll be even worse. But I agree. It's like it doesn't make much sense for them to go up against the U.S. military because We can, and former presidents should have been able to, if they wanted to, completely take them out. They just chose not to.
Yeah. So the words like that in the past have always essentially had immediate responses from the countries involved. Like North Korea, he's put some kind of hard lines down, and boom, it was like instantly things stopped. Of course, back then you had the whole multiple launches and things like that. Other countries too. It's like when he has done these things, I don't think that other countries really know if he's bluffing. I think that a lot of people take him seriously when he says it. At the same time, he's kind of fiercely anti-war. So I think he's got the guts to do it, but he doesn't want to. But I think most countries believe that he absolutely will annihilate a group of people if they are attacking anything U.S. related. So yeah, that tweet is available over there. Dex, go ahead.
Well, Iran had a lot of money, and probably still does, and it's just it takes time for that money to run out, because he's got I guess ratcheting up the sanctions to the levels that he wanted or that he had before. Like he used to brag about saying, yeah, we made them so poor they couldn't fund anything, and to some extent that may be true. But right now, that's not the case. They're still cash rich. They still have money to blow, so to speak, because they've had 4+ years of getting and making lots of money, and they also have trade opportunities right now with Russia and China that, regardless of any type of sanctions or embargoes, that still flows. So I think that will always be the case. But then you also have to take into consideration, this president has said, I don't want wars. He wants to end them. He doesn't want these conflicts. He doesn't want to do any of this stuff. So those who oppose him, at the highest powers, the biggest bankers, whatever you want to call them, they can easily fund and push and antagonize or just flat out make happen these oppositional forces that continue to drag him into war or drag us into war, so that it goes against everything that he was campaigning against and everything, and it creates a greater distraction for him to accomplish any of the goals that are back here in America, as opposed to having to spend all of our efforts and time and focus externally with Ukraine, with Europe and NATO, with Yemen, with Israel and Iran. Right. Who knows? Taiwan and North Korea will flare up next and just completely distract us.
Yeah. I mean, and by the way, I was thinking about when the Syrian bank got, do you remember when Syria got taken over and we saw the clips of Syria, all these people walking out with stacks of cash? I wonder if, well, I'm sure that probably had some of Iran's money in there, but I wonder if Iran had like straight up cash stored in Syria's bank, because it feels odd to me that bank specifically, they were able to just go in, walk into the vault, take out huge chunks of money. I wonder if some of those guys were, 3-letter agency guys or 6-letter agency guys going in and taking some of that cash, and maybe that was part of the funding, right? Lisa Haven, a freaking celebrity. I watched Lisa Haven before I even started my channel. Lisa Haven, again, crazy. If that's you, thank you for the support. I appreciate you. Hey, nice to see you.
And Adam, she said earlier, Marfugal Marfugal has good stuff. Got to give him a shout out. So she's been hanging out in chat.
The gray area between hacker hunter is not as gray as it used to be.
Hey,
it's good to see her.
Nice to see you, Lisa. Lots of great people here. Mods are awesome down there. By the way, my mods have been with me for I think there's only 1 or 2 that have been with me less, but most of them have been 7-8 years. All of them are really cool people. So speaking of which, make sure to go support your mods by going over to marfugalnews.com/friends. You have, of course, all of the mods, and from everywhere from Bones to Wages. Wages, by the way, has been kind of just going through a lot, but he is still covering all of the solar events. Trinity does deep dives. Ilea does awesome stuff. Rip Curl is always doing something interesting, so go check him out. And of course, Chance is a author on Amazon, so go check out his books. Speaking of which, we got to add Lisa to the friends list. So these are all creators that we highly recommend go checking out. Again, that's over at marfugelnews.com/friends. All right. And then China is practicing dogfighting in space, Space Force says. So, first of all, we have talked about so many space-related stories with China and with Russia in the last month. And a lot of people haven't been paying attention to those because a lot of the other stories have been getting, garnering more attention. As far as this goes, the dogfighting in space, I don't know how that possibly works. But I do kind of think about how we just had the X-37B come down after a year and a half or whatever it was, one of the longest times it's been up there. And they actually responded to that coming down in full-on hazmat suits. And it makes me wonder what the heck happened up there. But, of course, Chinese satellites have conducted coordinated maneuvers with synchrony and control, a top Space Force official revealed on Tuesday, dubbing the moves dogfighting in space. The service is starting to see our near peers focusing on practicing dogfighting in space with satellite-on-satellite operations. Vice Chief of Space Operations General Michael Gutland said during an annual McAleese defense program. With our commercial assets, we have observed 5 different objects in space maneuvering in and out and around each other in synchrony and in control. That's what we call dogfighting in space. They are practicing tactics, techniques, and procedures to do an on-orbit space operations from one satellite to another. We have talked about the capabilities of China and Russia for a very long time as far as each little movement forward. And any little kind of release regarding this, we always talk about because they essentially, everything is kind of moving in this crazy direction where space is now weaponized. And they are stating that this is the future of warfare. That is the scary part about it because, as far as civilians, this is something we really can't follow closely at all. It's something we purely have to depend on U.S. government and the world governments to let us know about. But one thing is for sure, many of us have seen some pretty weird stuff above us, and especially lately. A lot of the things going on up there, Dex, this is among just in the last couple of weeks, we had stories talking about how we are creating something to basically detect if our satellites are being tracked. What does that all lead to? It sounds to me like they're worried about them at some point taking out our satellites. And that's exactly what they would do if they were trying to knock out comms. We've talked about it for years. EMP and knockout satellites, cut the hard lines, which has also been talked about for 2 years. All of these ships have practiced, scraping their anchor on the bottom of the ocean to take out the hard lines between countries. And that's exactly what they've been doing. I think those ones weren't that serious. Those were practice to see what they could do with each kind of ship. So if they do all of that, what happens next? We already have thousands and thousands every month that were coming in over the last 4 years from all of these adversarial countries. We don't need somebody to paratroop in or paradrop in. They could be here. And maybe they're even set up on farmland right next to all of our bases. Dex, go ahead. What do you think about the Space Force comments?
Well, look, we know the conflict is moving higher and higher in the sky. The fact that we started Space Force for that, they said right off the bat that was going to be one of the biggest threats was going to be what's happening with our satellites and protecting them. It used to just be you could set it and forget it, and you'd have to worry about it. But now they're very easy targets. Even if you think about how, from a dogfighting perspective, you can go down and take out one. Or maybe even not just take it out, but what if you disable one and take it back home or take it to another ship like our X-37B? Maybe we've taken some other satellites offline and brought them into our X-37B and dismantled them or brought them back to Earth so we could see what they were doing with them. There's no telling what has happened at this stage because a lot of it's not known. But it's certainly coming if it hasn't happened yet. So I think, the fact that that China is practicing dogfighting. We talked the other day about the threat of both Russia and China with satellites and what they were doing. We've discussed numerous times the different technology about being able to take out individual satellites, let alone the ultimate, which is just launching an EMP and saying we'll take them all out at one time, themselves included.
So, I mean, with and it goes back to it brings up fresh in my brain is how a lot of our senators or congressmen were given sat phones and things like that. I wonder how much they kind of look at this and go, is this kind of top priority? What priority is this? And is that why Space Force was made? I mean, direct energy weapons were a theory, right? You would get kicked off of platforms for talking about them, or at least if you said the wrong thing, you would be labeled, right? Shortly after Space Force was formed, a Space Force general came out, or a DoD press conference, and said, hey, not only are direct energy weapons real, that China and Russia has weaponized space with them. So what kind of events are we going to see in the near future that, with all of this stuff going on, are we going to see some of this stuff pop off? Many of us already believe they've used space-based weapons on, different places in the world. And there's, a lot of debate about whether that's happened or not. I think it's just like with JFK and with all of this other stuff. With JFK, everybody knew the truth for years and years and years. The majority of people had the truth in their head already. They just needed somebody to show them proof of it. With this, it's like, I think that, a lot of these past events, Tianjin and possibly Beirut, put something down on a place holding ammonium nitrate. These things are going to start popping off in frequency, I think. But we'll see. And then all the tests that they are doing, trying to bounce things in and out of the atmosphere and things, what are they actually planning? And what do they see coming that we don't? Also, a lot of weather events, or not even weather events, but burning events in different states. A lot of people question that as well. Before we move on, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. We've been saying this for 5, 6, 7 years now. EMP is one of the most probable events out of all of the different things. If you want to knock down a country, you first knock down its comms and its power. Both have been talked about ad nauseum as far as in the last 5 years. And I think that it is something that you need to continue to prepare for. An EMP shield, I believe, will save lives. It will get people home to their families so they can bug in or get people out to bug out. It's a super easy device. Again, most of us here, including my mods, have put one of these on their vehicle. It takes about 10 minutes, red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, green to ground, and then bolted in the side of your engine compartment. Again, then you're set. This is going to ground the signal from not only an EMP, but also the highest, worried event from the sun, a solar Carrington level event. It will ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it's able to fry your car. Go over and check it out, marfugalnews.com/EMP. Make sure to use the code MARF. You're going to get $50 off per device, and you are going to financially support independent media at the same time. It's a win-win. You get it for less than what you would, and you're helping independent media thrive. So we appreciate your support. marfugalnews.com/EMP and code MARF. Remember that, Stacks, we've been grandfathered with them before they, did their huge contracts with agencies like DOD and DHS. That stacks on top of all sales. So, spend wisely, have food and water first, medicine through something like Jace. But yeah, make sure to get one of those on your generators, cars, trucks, motorcycles, homes. All right. And then Musk-hating hackers release names and addresses of every Tesla owner in the U.S. with chilling symbol. And you know what? In Seattle, these things, I took a picture the other day. I forgot to post it to Twitter. I'll post that. In fact, I'll post it during the show. I was behind 4 Teslas, and they were all different. One of them even, I think, had a different state. Like, these are different people. They were driving the same exact car. I've talked about this a few times, that they're not even a cool car to me anymore because they are so saturated in my area. In Seattle, almost everybody drives one. And you know what the majority of people are here. So what's funny is, like, they're going after this like right-leaning person, but they're releasing the names of essentially just an absolute ton of liberals, especially here. Like, I wonder how many Seattle addresses are there, right? Dex, as far as from a technical standpoint, they hacked in and they have now doxed Tesla owners. That's actually pretty bad on the security part of it too, that they were able to go in and take all of this out.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know where their data came from, if it's an old hack or a new hack. I'm not sure about the timing of it, so it could be older data from a prior event, but it certainly isn't good behavior. Nothing about this has, I mean, I get it. If you don't like Elon, you don't have to like Elon, right? But like somebody who drives a car, like, it's their car. Like, leave them alone. Like, they have nothing. Most of them are probably on your side, politically speaking, which is kind of crazy. But the fact that this all of a sudden now this one car brand, you can almost get guaranteed you're going to get keyed. You're going to get potentially demolished or vandalized. I mean, come on, they're doing some crazy stuff right now.
And it even lists FBI Director Kash Patel's home and uses a symbol of a Molotov cocktail as its cursor. So you've got the addresses of all of these people. I mean, shoot, I wonder if it has Canadians on there too. I'm sure Canadian Prepper would be on there. But it is unclear where the hacker got the information about the Tesla owners, but it has caused a lot of concern, with Musk labeling it extreme domestic terrorism. And he's directly in the ear of the president. So how are they going to end up addressing this? We showed you last week and the week before there's been different attacks on Tesla chargers. There's been explosives put in the trunks of them at Tesla dealerships. So this is something that, I really think that could be angled towards something worse. But if you look at the undertone of this is one half of the people hating the other half of the people. It's a bigger part of the divide. People are just so hateful right now. People are just ready to pop. And that's why many of us in this community, this is news from a prepper standpoint. This is why, we prep for the unusual, the unexpected, because honestly, we don't know what's going to come next. Trusted Source, hey, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate that. And then Grace for You Too says, glad to see you, Adam Dex Mods. And Fugle Fam, Adam, glad to see you are feeling better. Many blessings to you all. Hold on to your hats, folks. Exactly. Minnesota Jarn, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate that. Dex, go ahead.
Hey there. No need to adjust your TV, or more likely your phone. You're watching a recycled commercial. See, at Mint Mobile, we're always looking for innovative ways.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind is that it doesn't take a lot to create this type of wave of activity. When I say a lot, it can easily be orchestrated by people with some money. It doesn't actually have to be organic and true. In other words, it can be very fake, and the media will latch onto it because it's a great story and gives them tons of coverage, right? Plus, they're more than likely in cahoots with them. But at the same time, it doesn't take a lot for them to do this, and I think that. Because it's really interesting, because when you think about it, the majority of the people that are driving these cars are probably on that one side. The people that are opposing that, most of them don't have one, and they probably didn't even care to get one. So now Elon's in a bad spot because he's going to get he's not going to have a fan base, so to speak, of people wanting to buy the car. So that's a difficult thing, which is stock is just tanking. So they're going after him from all angles. And it's pretty nasty, but again, it doesn't even have to be organic. It doesn't have to be true in the sense of the sentiment of the people, because this can easily be organized with a very little amount of money, because it doesn't require that much, organization. It's not as big as some of the other things we've seen but it commands a lot of visual attention, and then it gets amplified quickly.
You're basically giving the scent to the dog and letting go of the leash. You know, it's like, hey, here's the people you hate. Whoop, go ahead and do what you want. So that's pretty horrid. M. St. G says, oh, that is awful. And then let's see here. I wanted to answer this question here. Big Sexy Anon says, what are they dogfighting in? As far as what they're talking about, they even kind of, it sounds like even satellites that are bobbing in and out. They're not exactly fighting each other. I don't know why they use the word dogfighting, but I guess they mean it because they're weaving and bobbing around.
Well, they were doing synchronous efforts where multiple satellites would would be in sync going into another satellite and then moving around it, which is a maneuver in dogfighting.
Yeah,
so it was a synchronous movement of multiple satellites.
You would think they have a name in dogfighting for that, right?
They're going to have to invent one now.
I guess. Oh, gosh. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what happened. Oh, I've got the worst, like, all of a sudden, just, I threw my back out, like turning left or something. Can you feel me? Anyone that is any age over 30 has probably done that. Oh my gosh. Oh man. And you know exactly when it happens. And you feel it beforehand. Like, have you ever had it where your back or your neck is about to go out and you know that if you turn the wrong way, it happens? Well, I knew, and I was trying not to. And then boom, all of a sudden I looked at my left screen and, oh, please tell me that you guys relate to this. Stephen Click says the way that the act shows how these people are complete hypocrites and anti-Americans and traitors and homegrown terrorists of this country. They are always wildly irrational and violent. Okay, so that is a blanket saying. Stephen Click, don't fall into the spot, though, too. I will say this. There are some people on that side in this very chat. And there are some people here, including people that I really like, that are reasonable. So I don't even think we should describe it as the left anymore, because it's not the left. My values almost sit at liberal if it was 1960. In fact, I would call myself a late 1960s liberal. But that has changed. It's all shifted. As the meme that Elon put out, you know, your views have stayed the same, but the political spectrum has just completely shifted. Now, again, it's just absolutely a wild spectrum. So I wouldn't generalize like that. That is what they want us to do. That is what the people in charge have done with media. That is what they have done with CNN versus Fox. That is what they've done with the left wing versus right wing. But when you really look at it, all of these right wing, grandstanding Republican, you didn't know when you came here you were going to have to answer these questions. Facebook, we're going to hold you accountable, but secretly never, ever do anything actually. You know, it's just like, and then the left, they're like, oh my God, he's going to be chaos. He's going to cause war. He's the end of the world. We should literally do physical violence to the country. It's like both sides. They're two wings of the same bird. But again, I do sit on this side, you know, this side of things. Now I'm considered on the right side, right? But in reality, there shouldn't be this split down the middle. We're human beings. We're not something. We're not a being that's meant to be split. Our brains are split into left and right brain, but that doesn't mean as people we need to be split into two. I mean, we should be working together. But I totally understand what you're saying. From the actions that have happened from the public, the media left, the left that are engorged in the media left. They are doing the same thing. But also don't forget to call out when there's crappy stuff that is going on the right side as well. There are shady rhinos in the right. There's all sorts of just shady stuff happening. How many of you trust any of the politicians? I mean, look at all these people. Look at the shady car salesmen that are on the right side too. That's what I think of them. I feel anytime I'm watching like, oh God, what was his name? Half of them, I feel like they're going to pull a Foursquare on me and go, hey, if you give us $10,000 more right now, your payment will go down to $200 a month, your goal, right? You just have to sell your current car and give us a trade-in and give us your left arm. That's how I feel about most of the politicians out there. They're the same kind of skeevy. That's the thing. They are the same kind of skeevy. A lot of you probably have your favorite politician, somebody you do think and trust. But I guarantee you almost all of them have some sort of scandal behind them. And why does that happen? I don't get it. Andrew Golden says Walz is a bad guy, somebody who likes the... Again, I think a lot of people... I think a lot of the guys out there are... Yeah. I think when you are not on the same level as us, you buy $12,000 dresses for work, I think you are an entirely different world from us. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of those out there too. And then AG Bondi declares swarm of violent attacks on Tesla as domestic terrorism. So now we actually have the Attorney General declaring it domestic. So exactly it follows the path. Dex, here's the thing. What if this ends up turning into decrees or executive orders, or what if they end up using some sort of law or bill to use law enforcement to try to go after some of this?
Well, I mean, they should. It's a legal thing. Like, just lighting a Tesla on fire in a showroom somewhere or doing these bad things is like, that's illegal. So,
I misspeak.
But
what if they change laws because of this to try to internet laws or something like that,
Well, I'm sure that could be somehow tied to this if there's some logical reason for them to create it. But I think really what I would be more concerned about is how deep are they willing to go? Like, if they're just going to go to the surface level and grab the people that are actually doing it, the Jane Doe that struck a match under the tires versus the person that put her up to it, and the funding that went to organizing and getting that person there, to figuring out where they could do, taking it to the next level. I'd rather see that they spend more time going deeper and trying to figure out, is there, because Elon has posted his own evidence showing that there have been funded groups that have been even using taxpayer funds to go against Tesla and create this animosity towards it. If they can prove that at a higher level than just these one-off individuals just acting on their own, then they've got a much bigger case, and that would actually potentially change some rules and laws, I think. I don't know if it affects us as much as it may affect some of the organizations, but that's where I'd like to see it go. I don't know if they're going to get that far.
Sticker Mule makes it fast and easy to order custom clear roll labels, whether you want to use them on your products, packaging, or for...
We'll see.
And then Tesla removed as a participant. Dex, could you talk about this for a second? Oh my goodness, I just cannot believe it.
Yeah, certainly. So, I mean, the onslaught of attacks on Tesla, everything from, what's going on in Germany, all the way to here. So now when we head up to Vancouver in British Columbia in Canada, there's a major auto show, the Vancouver International Auto Show. They were supposed to be a participant there, just like all the other auto manufacturers. They probably had a big stage and a big, display set up with their vehicles, etc. Well, they've been asked to not attend now. They've been kicked out, basically. And they're saying it's for the protection of the guests. And I don't know if they're not coming out and saying we're kicking you out because we don't like Elon or we don't like your political views. They're saying that they don't like the fact that there's so much negative actions being taken by these agitators towards Tesla, that they don't want that brought into the show. And they don't want that to bring harm to the people there. So don't kid yourself. I'm sure whoever's in charge there has probably no love for Elon, and that's why they're kicking him out, but they're using this as an excuse. But yeah, I mean, they're coming at him from all different angles, whether sales are tanking, stocks tanking, cars are burning. He's getting kicked out of auto shows. He went from the darling best, high-tech car and highest stock value to, becoming the absolute enemy number one of the left.
And Dex, I'm going to have you cover this. I got to grab ibuprofen or aspirin or something. I cannot believe this just happened. I just pulled my back completely. And talk about this White House order, and I'll give my opinion when I get back. I'll
Certainly. So look, this is, and I just lost the order, but I've got it here. I'll find it. So look, a new presidential action, an executive order was signed. I'll talk about two of them. There's one that's being rumored to be signed. It's been talked about in the press that he's going to be shutting down the Department of Education. So that's coming. We don't have anything to report on that exact one because it's not listed on a signed executive order yet. So that, I'm guessing, in the next couple days, if not tomorrow or tonight. But the one we want to talk about, it relates to the federal emergency and the management agency that we're all well aware of. So he has signed the Achieving Efficiency Through State and Local Preparedness Act. So this is an executive order where he is looking for the states to take common sense approaches and investments by the state and the local governments across American infrastructure to enhance national security and create a more resilient nation. Basically, without reading all the hoopla in here, he is pushing what he had suggested, which was taking the dollars, taking the idea of disaster response away from the federal government and handing it back to the states. So is this the potential demise of the organization there? And that will be an interesting, because they're going to take the funds away if that's the case. They would literally defund that organization and move those funds into the states as needed, and the states would then be responsible for building their own disaster recovery organizations or funding the ones they already have and bring it at a better level. Now, I think ultimately it's probably better that way. I'm sure there's going to be arguments on both sides, but I'm sure the people in Florida know much better how to deal with a hurricane, just like the people in Seattle and California or Washington, California, and the likes over there know a lot better about how to deal with earthquakes and have no clue what to do with hurricanes. So, and I'm sure the federal government itself is pretty much clueless when it comes to dealing with anything, because they don't know how to manage a darn thing when it comes to money and spend. So this is probably the beginning of the end of the Federal Emergency Group, that management agency that I'm sure it'll still be around, but much smaller in the coming.
POV. You were looking for a recipe online, but all you found were ads. Then you got pie, and ads got cooked, and so did
years.
Yeah, and after last year's North Carolina, that was last year. That was in 2024, correct? Or was that early 2025? It's crazy. This year has felt like forever, and it's only March. We'll actually see what ends up happening. And then if you guys haven't already, make sure to go check out Grid Down. As far as recommendations, there are two recommendations that we have: Energy and Grid Down. Grid Down, as far as high capacity, this is the bigger, chunkier. This is for those that need 3,000 continuous watt hours. Again, most of you probably will in a situation of any kind of elongated power outage. These are beefy, but this is not why exactly we are recommending them. First of all, we know there's no backdoors in these. Second, we absolutely trust the company behind it. We know that they're built like tanks. One is right here behind me. And they are all EMP shield protected. So when you get any of the packages, starting out at just the main base unit, the bug out, it is coming with the EMP shield. The main unit is at 1.61 kilowatt hours, so 1,600 kilowatt hours. As far as if this is a cool thing for those of you who are trying to seriously get into solar, again, this is power you can take anywhere with you. You can go camping, you can do all the fun stuff. You can take it to work with you and power your power tools. In fact, this can power some beefy ones, 6,000 peak, 3,000 continuous. As far as that goes, the second one, there is still that tax rebate. So 30% tax rebate. So this one has 4,000. It's just got the Bug Out XP on top. They stack, which adds in all of that extra battery time. You've got 4,000, almost 4,300 kilowatt hours. So that is a beefy generator. And they both have handles. You can just quickly grab them and go. Not to mention, again, they're protected. So go over and check it out. This company also makes the Readout, which is the unit that actually, the walls, you've probably heard of Tesla walls, probably don't want one now after the given news. But the actual units, if you want to actually do a house or a big mansion or whatever, if you're in Ukraine and you work for the military, then you would go through these, right? So these, again, you can also go check out. That would be an investment. But again, a lot of people are doing this. They are using it as an investment. They're using the tax rebates, and they're switching over this and trying to get off the grid. Most of you probably would love to be off grid if you could, but you wouldn't want to lose any of the benefits from awesome power grid as well. marffugelnews.com/bugout, and make sure to use the code MARF. Dex, go ahead.
And also, no waiting.
No waiting.
Those are ready to roll.
Yeah, you will get them immediately.
All of them. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So as far as that goes, make sure to go check it out. It's quick, it's easy, and then you have something that you'll most likely use on a regular basis. Any kind of storm happens, continue life as usual. All right. And then Trump does 2-month deadline on nuclear deal with Iran. Okay, so first of all, this is not an ad for this thing, and I'm sure one of you is going to say there's cancer-causing agents in it. They came out with these Tylenol dissolve packs. If you throw your back out, man, I'm telling you. So it's like a pixie sticks. Not recommending anything, not medical advice, but man, I have the last time these came in killer. They're like little packets of sugar. Swear it is so much faster than taking something else. But anyways, it just, if you didn't know about it, I didn't know about it until more recently. Okay. Let's see here.
Talk to me a little bit about the importance of that documentation and what kind of inspections that homeowners can expect.
Documentation is so important. We want everything.
And Starlink internet, let's get off grid as possible. I want a Starlink. Ilea has a Starlink, and she says it's awesome. Bobby Sue says, you snort it or what? No, you just like a pixie stick, you eat it, and boom, it's done. Okay. And it's like candy. It actually tastes sweet. All right, let's talk about Trump drops this 2-month deadline on nuclear deal with Iran. So anytime that you talk about this president dropping a deadline, usually it means deadline. Europeans have also warned Iran if there is no agreement by June, July, quote, a significant wave of sanctions will be imposed. Again, President Donald's letter to Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei includes a 2-month deadline to reach a new nuclear deal, according to one U.S. official, two sources briefed on the matter. President Trump made it clear to the Ayatollah Khamenei that he wanted to resolve the dispute over Iran's nuclear program diplomatically and very soon, and if this were not possible, there would be other ways to resolve the dispute. A source with knowledge told the Jerusalem Post that the Europeans have sent a message to the Iranians as well. Says if there is no agreement by June, July, a significant wave of sanctions will be imposed on Iran. Again, what they're quoted in this article, the reason under the nuclear agreement, the JCPOA was signed in 2015, a large portion of the sanctions imposed by the Security Council on Iran was lifted. Starting from October, it will no longer be possible to reimpose them. Germany, the UK, France, as parties to the nuclear agreement, have the ability to reinstate the sanctions that were removed through a mechanism known as snapback. If you remember all of this going on in 15. Therefore, this threat means don't drag us along. If there is no agreement by June, July, the sanctions will be reinstated. So a lot of the things that have happened with Iran, and especially even with our last admin, it was just strange. Like, why did they do that? Why did they do this? With this, this deadline, very well, we could see action, but again, sanctions in the past, if a country just says F it and goes, hey, we're going to war, we've seen what they do. They partner up and they essentially have other ways to make their money. Think about this. If we're close to any kind of war with Israel and Iran, or us and Iran, or us backing up Israel, what is stopping Iran from doing the same thing that Russia did to make up for all the losses? Dex, do you know what I mean? Like, what's stopping them from saying, hey, we don't need Coca-Cola in our country, or we don't need all of this stuff, and we'll go through all of these other countries for this and this. Now they have a network of other countries in the adversarial kind of network that they could kind of try to skirt these sanctions. I wonder if that's the difference between now and 5, 6, 7, 8, 15, 2015,
Yeah, and they've even set up crypto exchanging that they can do to do the transactions. So they've got that running for them as well, which gives them another advantage and another way to get around the sanctions.
Yeah, it's not something that this is something that I don't think that they're going to take lightly. The sanctions that were there in 2015 were giant. Thank you, Andrew Golden. I appreciate that. Says colored hair